Hello, Tippler Nation. Today we have a special treat. We are being joined by Jenny Eagleton of The Punchdown here in Oakland, California, to talk about one of our favorite topics, orange wine, and one of our all-time favorite wine bars. Stay tuned. We are thrilled to be here, and I'm thrilled to talk to you because you have so much knowledge and expertise and so many fun perspectives on everything. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who are you? Tell us who you are.
So my name is Jenny Eagleton. I work here at the Punchdown as a bartender, and I do kind of other fun things around California. I spend time working in wineries whenever I can, and then I also write about natural wine. It's exciting to be here talking to you about all this stuff.
So tell us about where we are, the Punchdown.
Yeah, so the Punchdown's a natural wine bar. We were the first natural wine bar in the East Bay, in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I think the third natural wine bar in the U.S.
Let's talk about what we're here to kind of dive into today, which is one of my favorite styles, orange wines. I think a lot of people probably don't even know what orange wines are. I think there's a lot of people out there today who still haven't even heard of orange wines. They're still pretty rare, still kind of hard to find, starting to get more popular. So 101, like what the heck is an orange wine?
Well, there's a bunch of reasons why that most people haven't heard of orange wine. One of them is that the term was actually coined in 2004.
That recently?
Yeah.
Wow.
The history of this type of wine is much, much older than that, though. It dates back to the ancient Eurasia. The Republic of Georgia likes to claim that they are the origin of winemaking.
Right, yes.
I also like to tell that story. I'm not sure if it's totally true, but the way that orange wine gets its color is the same way that red wine gets its color, so it's skin contact. It's like the same idea of when you're steeping a tea, the longer you let the tea bag steep, the more color it transfers, and also the more flavor it transfers. So these wines are made from white wine grapes, but they sit in the juice. Instead of being pressed off and separated immediately, they sit in the juice for 4 days, 4 months, or even almost a year.
Oh, wow. So I'm going to ask a silly question that I feel like a lot of people might wrestle with in their brain but feel too silly to ask. Orange wines versus rosés.
That's such a good question. And it's such a fun conversation to have. Most rosés are not made with 4 days of skin contact. They're made with like 2 hours of skin contact.
So they're almost the opposite a little bit with orange wines if you think about it, right? Because it's red wine grapes that are very little skin contact, whereas normally to make a red wine you have much more skin contact, whereas these are white wine grapes that have more skin contact versus less. So it's almost like the red and the white are swapped, and then the less skin contact or more skin contact is swapped as well.
Yeah. I think that orange wines are really fun alternatives to folks who are rosé drinkers.
Yeah.
Because rosés are just sort of like, they have the weight of a white wine, but they have a little bit more texture. And that's how I think of orange wine.
Right. No, I agree. I think especially for summer, to spice up your normal rotation of the summer whites and the summer rosés, like slipping some orange wines in there, especially when you're kind of craving something a little bit meatier and cheesier, like a big red wine, but it's hot out and you don't necessarily want a big red wine.
I love drinking orange wine in the pool.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of times a perception for people who are familiar with orange wines that orange wines are funky and cheesy and barnyardy and not for me. Is that true of all orange wines, or are there orange wines out there that don't have that funky characteristic?
So there are definitely orange wines out there that don't have that funky characteristic.
What are we tasting today? Do we have super funky orange wines? Do we have a spectrum? Kind of, where are we going to go?
Oh, we have a spectrum.
All right.
So we have a spectrum between flavors, between grapes, and also between countries.
Right.
So the first one we have is from Meinklang, one of my favorite Austrian natural producers. These wines are great, and they get a lot of distribution through the U.S.
Okay, so it might be a little easier for people to find.
Yeah. So this is Pinot Gris, but damn, it smells delicious. It's got that floral, really bright floral. It's kind of peachy.
Yeah, it's got a little honey too. There's a little sweetness to it for an orange wine. I don't always smell a lot of sweetness in orange wines, but there is a little bit.
And it's got a little bit of, this sounds a little wild, but some Rieslings can have this sort of gasoline twanginess. And then on the palate, it's compared to how it smells, it's really subdued. It's got Like definitely strong structural acidity.
Yeah.
It's got beautiful minerality. It's making my mouth water.
Totally.
But it's got more white peach than kind of luscious yellow peach like I got on the nose. Like nectarine. It's just like a kind of clean sharp stone fruit.
It is sharp. It is sharper than the nose. Like the nose is a little bit sweeter to me, and then when I taste it, it does get that like the mouth juices flowing and kind of that little bit of tannic, which I love because I don't feel like I get that from rosés. So we were talking about earlier rosés versus orange wines, and it's like, you know, sometimes I want something a little lighter and fresher and maybe a little cooler, but I want that tannic kind of funk and kind of like, you know. But I wouldn't say this is super funky either.
Right. Yeah. It's got a little bit of stuff going on. The second wine is from a winery called Domaine Léonine from the Languedoc in southern France. It's a blend of some grapes that grow in not a lot of places, but they're not crazy obscure grapes. So Grenache Gris, Grenache Blanc. Most people know Grenache is a red grape.
Yeah.
But these are different colored clones. And then a fun grape called Macabeo. One thing I really like about this wine is that it's such a great intro to orange wine. It's really soft and floral. There's a
very
tasting,
floral.
Yeah. But it's like field of flowers,
Yes, yeah.
rather than the really kind of luscious tropical flower that we got with this one.
This is dry. It's not. The first wine we tasted gave me that like acidic kind of, you know, mouth-watering feel. This doesn't do that for me exactly, but it is like kind of a dry wine.
Right. Totally. There's not a lot of tannin, and there's not a lot of acidity in it. So it's just this kind of soft, diffuse,
Yeah,
pretty.
it's very nice. Not a lot. I wouldn't say there's any funk in this really. Like this is a pretty good example of like a clean orange wine that if you're scared away by the funk that you hear about in orange wines, like I feel like this would be a great example to start with.
Yeah. And the third one is definitely the funkiest of the bunch. The wine is called Dinavolino from Dinavolo. Kind of confusing.
Yeah.
It's an Italian producer based in Emilia-Romagna, making some of my favorite, more affordable Italian orange wines. So this is a pretty unusual blend of grapes. One of the grapes in this wine I've actually never heard of before. So there's Malvasia, and then a grape called Ortuga, and then Marsanne. And so what's really unusual and interesting about this is it's a blend of Italian and historically French grapes.
Interesting.
So Marsanne is normally grown in the Rhone Valley in southern France. I don't know why Denavolo is planting it. It's typically it's really soft, low acid grape, but it can be a really good blending grape to add richness and floral qualities to wine. And I think it makes really beautiful skin contact wines. But this wine is definitely the funkiest of these. It's got some bread going on.
I get like horsey hay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this one for me, for some reason, certain wines, when I smell them and taste them, like kind of give me a vision in my brain. And I feel like I'm sitting in a barn on a hay bale. There's some horses over there. Maybe there's a little poop with the horses, right? There's horses after all. But there's lilies everywhere. And so there's this like floral overnote of this barnyardy kind of, that just is like lovely. And I'm like happy as can be sitting there with the horses and the hay and the lilies, you know?
Yeah.
It's fun when not all wines do that for me. Because the other two didn't transport me like that, but this one really does like put me in a place. It's quite lovely. This
is a really special wine. I think all of these are really special wines, and I love them all for really different reasons.
All right, so we've had some really great expressions of orange wine, and I love that we kind of covered a spectrum of, you know, a little bit funkier, a little bit cleaner. If Tippler Nation, kind of everyone who's watching wants to jump into orange wines, hopefully you do. Hopefully we've gotten you excited about this topic. Where do they start? What styles, what regions, how would you help them get into this?
That's such a fun conversation. So orange wine is made all over the world, but sadly it doesn't get yet great distribution throughout the U.S. There are reliable places to buy bottles of orange wine across the U.S. The best way to learn about natural wine or orange wine is to have somebody point you in the right direction. And what I would do is, if you don't have a really good natural wine shop in your local city, call Uva in Brooklyn, or call Flatiron Wines, or call Ordinaire, or even call here at the Punchdown and say, we are looking for wine in our city, do you know anything that's distributed here? And can you help me find some skin contact white wines? And also, do you ship to me? The best way to get wines these days is to have them shipped right to your house. But then there's so many people that we can all learn from, continue to learn from. Alice Firing, old school, she's the original natural wine writer. She's such a great resource for orange wine. And then just, again, paying attention to importers.
And make friends like Jenny. When you're at your local, fabulous wine bar or bottle shop and you kind of hit it off with someone and you realize that they're pouring you something delicious that you love, like, make friends with them because they understand your palate and they know what you like. And, then that way you can have those conversations and get pointed in the right direction and learn about importers and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
So, so we hope that we've inspired you today to jump into orange wines. It is the perfect time of year to kind of mix into your normal rotation of summer whites and summer rosés to kind of mix in some orange wines and start to learn. And of course, if you're in the Bay Area, make sure you swing by the Punch Down because this is one of the best spots for natural wine and orange wines that I've ever found. And they also have delicious food and a super cool, chic atmosphere. And so, make sure to stop by and come say hi to Jenny if you're in the Bay Area. But until next time, drink craft, drink local, and drink orange. Cheers.
Malvasia, which is actually a huge family of
I've been saying that wrong forever. I've been saying Malvasia forever.
I don't know what it is.
No, I mean, I think Assam I know says it the way you're saying it as well. So I think I've just been saying Malvasia.
I know.
Side note, we're just,
Wine is weird.
Yeah, it's a good side note because, don't feel like you have to, know everything about wine. Yes, there are snobby people in wine. Yes, it can get snobby, but, who cares if you're pronouncing it wrong? You'll figure it out.
And listen to the people who know more than you.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Listen to her, not me.